Hello, everyone, and welcome to season number 2 of Culinary School Stories, the weekly podcast that is dedicated to sharing the stories of people from around the globe whose lives have been influenced, impacted, touched, and/or enriched, for good or for bad, from their culinary school experience. Hi, my name is Colin Roach, and I'm your host, and this season I am back with 25 more fantastic episodes of interviews I have had with chefs who have shared their culinary school stories. For example, how did they choose which culinary school to attend?
Johnson & Wales was not my first pick. I was really, this is 2008 when I'm in heavy consideration. I knew about Culinary Institute of America more like I've heard of it. I was looking at a local community college, and
when we started the tour and I was looking at the pastry center, and of course it's the fishbowl, you look through the window and you're looking at what everyone's doing. It was advanced cake and baking. But when I saw those cakes being created, it was fondant and just stunning, pipe work. I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. This is it.
What was orientation or the first day on campus like?
Oh yeah, you had that big like herd assembly. No one really knew where they were going, but there was people everywhere that was like directing. And if you've ever been to the Charlotte campus, it's kind of almost like separate blocks there in the downtown area. So like we were constantly crossing the street, go to the library, get our books, get our knife kit, go over here, get your uniform, and they're like, oh, next day you got to have all this ready, make sure you press everything ready. And it was a big to do. It was different. I don't want to like equate it to like the military, but it kind of felt like that, where you were shoveled in and you got to go. There's tons of people behind you, and grab your stuff and go to the next station.
So they gave out the uniforms and the knives and everything. But then the first day in class, I was just like, trying to be cocky, So the chef was like talking and talking and talking, and I wasn't paying attention. The next minute, I look around and I saw all my classmates that were writing down everything. So I'm like, oh, I better pay attention. I said so. And so the next minute, the chef goes like, all right, let's go to the kitchen. And so I'm like, I'm in trouble. I was like looking at my classmate, one of my classmates that was like right next to me, and I'm like, so I kept asking, and then he looked at me and he goes, next time you better listen. I like, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, it was a little nerve-wracking, but it was fun. I remember the big thing was everybody was trying to figure out how they were going to hem their pants for the next week. Because you get these checks, they're about, a foot too long, because they're kind of one size fits all almost. And they're like, oh, you got to have your pants pressed, and you got to have your pants hemmed, and nobody knew how to sew. And it was an ordeal.
it was exciting. But I remember getting into my first lab and just being in awe of having no idea what I was doing. Like everything looked different, right? It was like the first time I'd really been in a professional kitchen, the first time I'd been really in front of a professional range. There's a real oven.
What are some of the things learned while in culinary school?
Some people really don't get the nutrition part, or don't think, back then didn't think it was so necessary in our culinary training. It's just about cooking, cutting, whisking, whatever. But I really did love the nutrition class. I can remember even the final we had to do in the class where we had a family of 4, and the guy did construction work, the mom did this, the kids were this age, and then what were the nutritional needs for the day? I remember all that stuff. I love that class. It was just so intriguing and interesting to me.
In culinary and baking and pastry arts, you are such a team. It's just never I. If you have a problem, you work with your team. You support each other through the thick and thin.
You see somebody who looks like you, especially when you're a minority, be it female or person of color, who's at another level that you aspire to be to, then that just makes it so much easier. Because if you've never seen, like somebody who was my mentor, that word was foreign to me. I didn't grow up into this thinking about a mentor. That word was just something that wasn't used back when I was in school. But to say I had one, I couldn't have named another female person of color who was in a position that I knew of that just wasn't in my realm.
And the guests also often share and provide advice to us, like,
Yeah, my advice to these young female chefs when they go and find a job in the Middle East, they have to be very, very careful because, like, when you're applying for a job, just be very upfront to them, like, be very, very careful, because sometimes when they are advertising job, they are actually, looking for girlfriends, or it's not a real job, because that's what happened to me. Like,
We were all, when I was going through it, told that, the aspiration was to become fine dining white tablecloth chef. It was, you were kind of laughed at, looked down if you were a hospital chef, or laughed at, put down if you weren't even the country club chef or a highfalutin white tablecloth kind of thing. But, things are so changed, and you can make your mark in this industry. There are so many different avenues, from being a social media star, dealing with food. I mean, every talk show basically has a food segment now. Photography, that kind of thing. The personal chef thing is not going away. And these meals delivered at home, it's just nothing but getting bigger and bigger. So if you can find a niche in that, delivering whatever your specialty is, be it the healthier stuff or just good home cooking stuff, that's not going away. If anything, that is booming. So just finding a way to be relevant and to get good food, safe to other people.
And that is just a taste of Season 2 of Culinary School Stories. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It is free and can be done through your favorite podcast app or through our website at www.culinaryschoolstories.com, which is also where you can catch up on any episodes you may have missed from Season 1. Well, thank you all for listening and being part of this show and being part of the Culinary School Stories podcast family. Bye-bye.